I'm Grace. I'm here for my second workshop of the day at Hack the North. I did design systems one earlier, and today I'll be talking about designing your personal brand. And I've been on the internet since I was probably 6 years old as a child, growing up on Neopets, and now I am 23. And I've learned so much throughout my journey on the internet and just branding myself and getting opportunities through the internet actually without applying. I never really applied for most of my jobs. I actually got purely through networking. So I'll also be talking about that too, assuming most of you are here for that. And let me know in the chat what you want to take out most from this talk. Do you want to get a job? Do you want to land more clients? Do you just want to get more followers, meet more people on the internet? Feel free to let me know. And so for those of you just joining, we just started, and feel free to kind of drop any questions in the chat as I'm going through this now and be answering them at the same time. So without further ado, I'll get started. And I always say this before every single presentation I do, but fasten your seatbelts, buckle up, because you're about to be blown away. Cool. So for this presentation, I'll be going through a short intro, a little bit of my journey and what I've learned along the way. And then I'll talk about top foundations, how you want to build your personal brand, and what kind of foundation element and questions you should be asking yourself to define your mission statement and everything about yourself. And later you want to take these things and express them on social media. So I'll be giving lots of actionable tips on how to really gamify, or not gamify, but really bump up your posting algorithm and reach more people and get more followers ultimately. And then I'll talk about some visual elements you can include in your brand and how to visually brand yourself without actually being a designer. And then I'll drop a link to the chat when we get to step 5 about a little Notion guide I've made, like a little worksheet where you guys can help you design your own personal brand too. And then later I'll end this with a Q&A where you can ask them anything. And throughout this whole presentation, I'll be asking a lot of questions in the chat, so you're welcome to engage as well. So I'm Grace. I am a full-time designer at Electronic Arts. I was previously an intern there for 6 months prior, started full-time in December. I'm also a founder and design lead at Design Buddies, which is a 14-member Discord partner community where you can join over there on our link. And I'm also a part-time computer science and engineering student at Santa Clara University in California. I took on a full-time role while being in grad school, and I actually graduated from undergrad in 2019, started studying bioengineering, changed a lot of career paths. And I also have a lot of random side hustles. I like making merch to table at anime conventions and sell art, make enamel pins and all that fun stuff. And I'm really into social media and blogging. Been on the internet since I was 6 or 7 years old, since my Neopets days, and customizing my Neopets profile. So growing up, I really wanted to be an anime artist. I was always that kid who loved entertaining people, never imagined myself ever studying anything related to STEM. I also posted a lot of my art on DeviantArt and also Tumblr, was really into that, and also Neopets, was really into social media and blogging and running. However, I came into my undergrad as actually a bioengineering major because I wanted to biohack myself to run faster and learn more about the human body and be a doctor, be a neurosurgeon actually. And I realized I learned the hard way that I shouldn't do what the society deems as successful or what I think the society tells me to do. So I decided to go into game design and computer science and made VR games. I also started an art business to follow my childhood dream. And then I realized my favorite part of game dev is actually design, like level design, UX design. So now I'm doing mostly UI, UX, and product design as my full-time job, and also running a community on the side. So I'm super passionate about design and also community building and social media and blogging. And thank you. Yeah, I've been through a lot, and I've learned so much just by interacting with people on the internet. So that helped me, that kind of inspired personal branding and how I decided to go into that. Thank you all for being part of Design Buddies. Really appreciate it. And so now I'll talk about foundation. So kind of questions you want to ask yourself when you're thinking about how you want to design your personal brand, what kind of central themes. And you don't have to be a designer to have a personal brand. Anybody can have a personal brand. And it'll help you kind of land roles, get clients, and ultimately meet more people. So first question, what is a brand? Feel free to engage in a chat. What do you guys think of the brand is? So think of things like Nike, McDonald's, Rilakkuma, Hack North is a brand, Waterloo is a brand, Discord is a brand. For example, what do you think a brand is though? These are examples. way to identify yourself. Yes, that is true. Anything else? Yes, definitely symbolize something, recognize symbols. Definitely consistency is a brand element that you want to have consistent all throughout brands. Trademark, yes, definitely recognizable elements. So all these things are definitely correct, a way to have consistency so you can identify yourself. And so these are just some examples like Nike, just do it. You're selling like a feeling. So when you think of Nike, when you wear like Nike, I guess I'm wearing a Nike shirt, not sponsored. My school is just sponsored by them. And I ran cross country track, but you feel like you can run faster because they're selling this feeling to you. And Apple, you feel like more like I guess like more bougie using their products, and also Nike, and McDonald's. Like I'm loving it, like Happy Meal. So these that they're not selling a product, but they're selling a feeling. So think of the feel like ways you want to instill some feeling in someone. So think of this and all these branding elements and how you want to apply it to yourself. And yes, I did say more bougie because branding, like look at like Louis Vuitton. Like if you see someone like wearing these things, just because it's because they make them feel more bougie. And so this is the power of branding. And think of these principles, how these brands make you feel bougie, and how you can make recruiters or people on the internet make you think that you are more bougie. And so just like think of these elements as I go on my presentation and everything too. So brand, basically you're selling an experience. You perceive, just like Nike, they did a just do it symbol, like you got it, just do it. And you're wearing their clothes and you feel like you can have, your workouts are supercharged, or you can feel like you can run faster. So just these things, and think about how you can apply these things to yourself. Make people think you're very bougie. And so what do you guys think a personal brand is? I know I kind of gave it away, but let me know in the chat. So for these people, let me know what you think these people's brands are. So what do you think when you think of Elon or Oprah or Lady Gaga? Let me know in the chat. Because these people are really prime examples of people who really put a lot of thought in their personal brands. Or anybody else who's famous that really like sticks out to you. Definitely a personal brand is the way you present yourself to others. Lady Day? I'm not sure what that is, but yeah, so definitely a way you present yourself to others and how you basically stand out. Like definitely very unique, edgy, yes. Like he uses his, yeah, definitely bad boy. Yeah, like his Twitter is really, really interesting. His tweets and everything too. And his mixtape, very edgy. Yes, yes. So because when you think of these things like his edgy, like because he wants to make you feel that he's edgy. So they have social media presence, and Lady Gaga has her like crazy outfit and stuff to kind of show themselves as edgy or show themselves as very unique and creative and stand out that way. So just think of how you can use these principles and apply them to yourself. And so this comes down to this question of what do you want to make people feel when you show up? And this could be anything. This could be like, do you want to make people feel like you're edgy? Do you want to make people feel like you're inspirational? You're very unique. You're very hardworking. You're very creative. This could be anything. So definitely ask yourself these questions. And this will also be on the worksheet I'll be giving towards the end of the presentation. And what do you want people to say when you leave the room? And so this could be anything. Do you want people to have good impression on you? This is really, really important when it comes to like interviewing for roles and everything too. Like I have the money kind of staring at you. So ask yourself these two questions, because these questions will ultimately guide how you want to design your personal brand. And your personal brand is essentially an extension of your personality, and it really reflects who you are. And it's never fixed. Like you can always change your personal brand. You should evolve with yourself and your personal development. Definitely really strategic and really iterative process. And so you're never stuck with one. So you can start working on your personal brand anytime. And so it's super, super important to learn to really put a lot of thought in your personal brand, because I assume most of you are students looking for internships or full-time roles. Let me know in the chat. And it really helps you stand out from competition, especially in this post-coronavirus landscape. People are going to be out of jobs and it's super hard. But if you brand yourself personally, like have a website and have a really strong social media presence or a strong way of presenting yourself on the internet, you'll stand out for essentially these like quote unquote competitions that are applying for the same jobs as you are. And so you can also use this to build your network and gain advice and knowledge. So we can attract more people. So if you post like interesting content relevant to your industry, you'll connect with people interesting, similar to you on LinkedIn and gain advice and knowledge from them as well. It also helps you become more featured in media, helps you kind of reach more people as well. And also, if you are a freelancer or looking to sell any services or looking to start your own business out of your hackathon projects at Hack the North, it will ultimately help you build more trust and authority. And so essentially, you can attract more premium pricing. So think of brands like Johnson & Johnson, where this is just an example I saw at a convenience store called Target, where I'm at. They have the regular shampoo with the generic Target brand and then the Johnson & Johnson shampoo. I looked at the ingredients, they're literally the same thing, but the Johnson & Johnson brand was double the price, and that was the one that was running out on the shelf. So just like kind of apply this to yourself, where you can essentially, once you brand yourself, you have the sense of like premiumness. You can charge more for the same amount of work. So because branding, it ultimately influences how people feel about you and what people say about you. And later I'll go deep dive into this, but brands can really influence feelings, so you could ultimately earn more money. You can stand out and earn more money with a very powerful personal brand. And let me know in the chat what your goals are for personal branding too, so I can integrate more examples in my talk. And a big misconception is that personal branding is self-promotion, but it's not. It's a way of simply just expressing yourself. So basically, senpai can notice you. Just kidding. Basically, people that are similar to you can notice you and connect with you, and also attract recruiters and hiring managers on LinkedIn, which actually have happened to me before. And yes, of course. Yes, Yaman. Yeah, basically the senpais, you know, recruiter, senpai, yeah, hiring manager. Anyways, this is like my personality, so this is personal branding workshop, so I'm expressing my own personality here. And it is not self-promotion, it's simply expressing yourself so you can attract people, because your vibe attracts your tribe. And that's some of the rhymes I like to say, but essentially it's that. And so this is the steps. I will later have this outlined as well, but you want to build your foundation first. And so you want to think of your mission statement, and then you want to craft your social media presence, and then strategize your content so you craft continuous high quality content, and then engage with the community at the same time. So I'll be breaking these down into actionable steps you guys can take to improve your social media and personal branding game. So step one, building your foundation. I have all the steps here, and then my workshop agenda here as well, so you guys can follow along with these little timelines here. So when you want to think of your foundation, your personal brand is essentially your purpose, like what do you do differently? How do you stand out? So these are just like deep questions you should be asking yourself and really reflecting on. And your character, like how do you present yourself? How do you make people feel? And how do you think you sound like? So I always like to ask for feedback and ask people how they feel, do some poll on Instagram, and how you do it, which is basically your purpose and your character. And these all shape your personal brand. So just some deep questions you should be thinking about to help you really go to the next level and how you want to present yourself on the internet. And definitely want to define all these like core values, your goals. Like you can use personal branding to basically land a job, gain clients, simply just put knowledge out there, connect with like-minded people, having a target audience in mind. So if you are I'm just going to use the internship example, because I assume most of you are students and want to get your first internship or full-time role, because I was in that situation very recently. Think about your target audience. Do you want so I'm a designer, and I had to post a lot of design knowledge I learned and things I've taken away from events, because my target audience at that time was recruiters and hiring managers. I want to show that I'm engaged in my community, and I want them as those form of senpais to notice me. And so that's what I did, because my target audience was that. So that's how I strategized my content. So that's why it's important to know who your target audience is. And on top of that, knowing your story, like who you actually are, and just telling stories. So some of the posts that kind of went viral for me on LinkedIn was ones that I either posted a success, but all the failures I went through and lessons I've learned that led to it, or a failure and what I've learned from that. So stories are essentially, the fundamental unit of human understanding. It's ways humans can connect with each other, because people also want to finish stories. So they'll kind of hook them on to your story and your brand. And that's how you increase engagement and also relate to people with just storytelling. The storytelling is really, really key when you're thinking of personal branding and expressing yourself on the internet. And you want to think of your mission statement. So this will ultimately go in like your LinkedIn bio or website, or sometimes even Instagram bio. Basically, you want to like get real deep within yourself and know yourself better and your reason for being. So like, what do you do? What business are you in? Are you in tech? Are you in business? Are you in design, creative field, things like that? And who do you serve? Like, who do you design for? For example, I work in the games industry, so I design for gamers. Sometimes people design the finance industry for really serious bankers. Games are also serious as well, but really, really depends on the industry. And not only when you choose a job, you definitely want to pay attention to what industry you want to be in. So make sure you reflect that in your personal statement too. So let's just say I probably will not get it if I even applied for a banking job, just because my personality just didn't vibe with it. And so really, really when you're choosing a job, make sure that you choose an industry you're interested in as well. And how is the world different as a result of you? And so really, really dig deep and think of these questions and ask yourself these questions, because this will later form your mission statement, which you can put in your bio. And this basically, and you can also put this in your cover letter, your resume, talk about during interviews. When you get asked like these tell me about myself questions, you can ask these questions. And so this is my example of personal brand. I personally like to create, like I'm a designer, also I'm a developer too. So I like to create digital experiences that people enjoy while making a social impact. So I'm really particularly passionate about making the internet a kinder place and making people have less cyberbullying, just because of personal experiences. And that's why I'm a designer for the games industry, and I'm a community builder. And basically, your mission statement should reflect a lot of things you do. And this goes in the first line of your LinkedIn bio or your about page, and you can also expand upon. But it should be short, get to the point, and should be broad and relate to a lot of things you do. And some other examples I found on the internet is like a positive impact the life of every person I meet. So really, really vague, and encourage, engage others, teaching and coaching. So inspire positive change. So these are just like some examples of mission statements. But before that, make sure you do a deep dive and really, really understand yourself and what value you want to create in this world and how you personally stand out. And think of these examples. And this will go in the first two lines of your LinkedIn bio as a call to action or a hook for the recruiters to see you, so the senpais can notice you. I keep using that analogy. I hope y'all think it's okay. But yeah, so it was relatable. Thank you, Alexander. And yeah, personal branding is essentially going back to storytelling. I keep emphasizing storytelling, mission statement, just because they're super, super important. And it's important so you tell your story. So don't let someone else tell your story, because people can leave out details and stuff like that. Basically, to sum it up, do things and tell people, and know yourself and know what you do and tell people. So now we're going to go to social media, how you want to take all these like foundational elements and elements about yourself and really have them, express them on social media so other people can know who you are and reach out to you and connect with you, expressing your personal brand. So this is step 2. After you kind of nailed your foundation down, you got your mission statement, your values, what your goals are, who you want to impact, who your target audience is. You want to know like what you're designing on. And so you want to have a website and a social media. So sometimes a way to stand out is also have a website. There's also like other tools you can do your website. You don't have to like code it from scratch. You can, but it's not mandatory. And the overall goal of choosing your channels and expressing yourself on the internet is to share content and give value. It's all about giving and not really expecting a return, at least for now. And basically doing things and telling people about it. So keep doing things in life and sharing about your experiences, what you learned. And that's what I personally done and helped me become successful on the internet. And also it's a two-way street. It's a community, so you should be active, responsive, and reply to your comment. I try my best to reply to every single comment if I can. Also every single DM. Sometimes I do miss them, so apologize if I ever miss anyone's DMs here. I get a lot, but definitely try to interact with as many people as you can who reach out to you, because if they spend time commenting, I want to spend time to comment them back and thank them for their time as well. And so really also not only post stuff, but also respond to things. This is super, super important. And making sure you have a consistent brand voice, image, and tone all across your platforms. And so for all my slides and my personal website, actually, graceling.com, my portfolio site, I have the same colors and fonts I use in the same style, tone of voice. So making sure that this is all consistent. In my Instagram, my LinkedIn, I talk the same way. And so having consistency is also really, really important. And first impressions are critical. So just an example, recruiters spent about 15 seconds looking through your resume, or like 15 seconds looking through a LinkedIn profile. If you put your mission statement, your hook in your first page of your bio, they'll be really, really interested. So you're hooking them into spending more time reading into your profile. So this is why it's important to really know who you are, get to the point of where you want to impact, and put that right in front of your bio. And just for more context, if you're a designer, I'm a designer, so that's what I know best. Recruiters just spent 30 seconds looking at your portfolio. So that's why it's super, super important to get to the point of it up front and center by starting with your mission statement and your core values up front, and then going deep dive to hook people in and make them want to spend more time on your site and get to know you even more. And so when you think of kind of going a little layer deeper into your channels, so you definitely want to have, these are just some areas where you can think about where you want to create accounts. So these are some purposes what you can do with these social media channels. So your home base is where you have all your content, like your website. You can share, I've seen people share like books they've read, Spotify playlists they're curated, and their projects and processes, things like that. But I'm trying to target this presentation to general, not just design. So definitely have a homepage of who you are, like a landing page, like everything about yourself as a site. You can also, I'll talk about more detail what exactly you include, but just think of this as a home base for yourself and your brand and your goals. And then you want to have an account where basically your most popular social media platform, basically how you get people to come to your website and how you mostly communicate with people. And so for me, that's actually LinkedIn and Instagram. Some people it's Twitter, some people it's Snapchat, some people it's TikTok. So it really depends, but this is just a way where you can attract the most audience. Definitely a lot through trial and error and experimenting with a platform. And then these are some places, some platforms where it's more ephemeral content. So content does not last very long, like Instagram stories, where you can just talk about things that inspire you or talk about your day, like Twitter, Snapchat, these like 24-hour things, things like that. And then if you want to go a layer deeper, you can go into groups. And so this is kind of like, for example, like subtle Asian traits, Asian creative network, more design groups and communities where, and also Pinterest, where you can go viral. From my personal experience, it was just a way to have a chance to go viral. So sharing your content on like Reddit, Discord, Slack communities, Facebook groups are ways you can potentially go viral as well. Yes, I see subtle Asian traits. Yes, it's a great group. I've been part of it since the beginning. Yeah, so this is just like some platforms you can think about, like your home base, how you attract more clients or how you attract more audience, where you can like talk about your daily life and where you can go viral. So think about these things and think about what platforms you want to be doing these things. SAT is Subtle Asian Traits on Facebook. It's a group where you can go viral with memes on there. So that was just an example I gave for communities where you can share and go viral. And so for content strategy, so for your home base, so I'll split this up into several sections. For home base, like your website, you want to either, these are just some ideas you can include on your website. So include your projects if you're a designer or a developer, like your process, how you got to your solution, what inspired your project. This has also helped us stand out to recruiters. And then you can talk about personal stories, how you got to where you are today, how you're unique, how you stand out in your about page. So you can go even deeper than your LinkedIn bio, go deep into storytelling mode on here. And then you can either include, you can also like suggestions include like blog articles, DIY tutorials, some ideas, what you're reading. your favorite resources, things like that that reflect who you are. So these are just some ideas. Definitely don't have to have all of it. You can just include a story, just include your projects, whatever you want. And these are just some suggestions of what you can include. And then this is the profile checklist. So for the social media site, this is kind of generic through all social media platforms. For your handle, it's your @handle. Make sure it's who you want, easy to remember. The reason why I have two is that I have an art business as well. So it's called Candy Leaf Design. So my art style is very pastel-y, very nature inspired. So that's why it's Candy Leaf. I also like to use my real name and things like that. So make sure your handle reflects who you are. And then a very common question I get asked is like, if you're bound to like one personal brand. So I have multiple, I'll later go more into this, but I have multiple Instagrams. So that's why I have multiple handles and stuff. So every single account is consistent. And then your name, I just have my real name, so it's more searchable. And then it stays consistent through my whole life. So I don't always want to be known as like Candy Leaf. Or I don't, my Candy Leaf used to be Rain Bunny. So I changed that a lot. So the reason why I just have my name as just Grace Ling, just because my name does not change through my whole life. And then your bio, you want to know who you are, what you do. So I'll later give some examples of this as well. Some screenshots of my examples, the best practice for your bio, and then links, like call to action. So you can include your websites, other socials, and even more. And then for your profile pic, it should be clear and it should be recognizable, and you should not change it too often. And then your cover photo should reinforce your mission. And then your content, I'll later deep dive into this even more, is that it should tell a story. It's basically your post, the real need of your experience on social media and who you are. And these can exist as like text, photos, videos, GIFs, and more. Again, also really depends on the platform, which I'll be going more into later during this presentation. And so these are some examples of my bios. Like for example, this is my LinkedIn bio, and I put a lot of emojis because I like to be very playful with my personal brand. And so I have my goal here, like the goal, my mission statement, and then my my experiences. And it really also depends what stage of life you're at. So if you're just if you're a student, then definitely put you're a student. But if you interned at several places, it can be like, oh, I interned here. Or you can really put anything. There's just some suggestions. Definitely not a one size fits all approach. It's really, this is just like what worked for me. But definitely everybody has their own vibe and own thing, like different things that vibe with them. And then I put my educational background, and then I put like what I do outside of work and school, just some fun side hustles I have. And then how I'm involved with the community and the speaking engagements I've done at different places. And then call to action, feel free to connect and reach out. And then a link to my other social media platforms with fun little emojis. And this is LinkedIn. You definitely allow more space in your bio. So that's why I went kind of this long on this. And this is kind of similar to what I have on my personal site as well. I plan to go a little deeper on my personal site when I have more time, but this is just some examples where I'm starting off. And then on Instagram and Twitter, you definitely have less room, less character count. And so I just have designer here, designer EA, founder design lead, and then illustrator, speaker, blogger, and other accounts. And somewhere here, it's very short. I try to like have one word to describe who I am, so people can have like a TLDR version of this full-on LinkedIn bio. And then I also have a call to action. So I have all my links here, my website here, my different Instagrams here, and then my website here, and then different links here. So call to action, bio, mission, and everything I have here on my bio. So here's some examples. There's definitely a lot of people, a lot of different ways to do this, but this is what personally worked for me. And so back to social media, what you want to tell, so after you kind of mastered your bio and finalized everything, you want to tell a story. And you want to tell a story with your posts, like either written content or video, but just be yourself, and the purpose is just like tell about who you are and make a personal connection with people. And also listen, engage with the community and support others, and also recognize trends as well. And hop on trends. That also helps you go viral sometimes on social media. Another small tip. And then also just overall give good vibes, create a positive impact, and then making sure that everything is consistent all throughout, like consistent tone of voice. If you don't swear on any other platforms, things like that. And then the more content strategies, add a call to action. So this is another way to engage people. Like on LinkedIn, if you comment, it gets bumped up to like the other person's feed as well. So that's why sometimes people ask a lot of questions on LinkedIn or comment for reach or like comment in emails. That's why you always see these posts on LinkedIn. Or it also makes it more engaging. So sometimes I could ask questions like, what's your favorite boba flavor? Or like, what are you looking forward to for this new year? And your social media posts. And then you can also use visuals to add more engagement to it. Like more tweets actually get open if they have a visual element to it. Because people don't really like to read as much as looking at pictures. So that's why it's good to tap into that. And then using hashtags, really, really important, because when you click on a hashtag, you get taken to similar ones. So it really connects communities, campaigns, or content. Or it can be used as like humorously, like hashtag YOLO, hashtag swag, and things like that. So yeah, so it has different hashtags, different meanings to it. It could be shown as like a last word, or you can link different posts together. And then timing is also really, really important. That is often overlooked. So I like to use analytics to find the best time to post. That's when prime time happens, when most of your audience is online. So it really, really depends. And depends who your audience is. Like if they're students, could they be in school? Could they not be checking social media? So always make sure to post after class. Things like that. Also, analytics. Instagram has their own analytics. There's also like Hootsuite and Sprout. So I know Hootsuite is also sponsored by this hackathon, but they also have social media analytics. I'm not sponsored by them, but it's just an example I'm giving. And also doing some A/B testing, posting at different times of the day, similar content, and seeing how well they do. So different testing it out, but posting time of day is really, really important, because I personally noticed a huge drop off in engagement if I post at like 1 a.m. at night versus when I post at like 10 a.m. in the morning or like 3 p.m. in the afternoon. And you can also Google like best time to post on LinkedIn and try to fit accordingly to that. We can Google it, or you can use internal tools. Like Instagram has own analytics. Twitter also does as well. Facebook Business also has their own analytics, or you can use external tools that go into more detail, like Sprout and Hootsuite. And for your content source, you might be wondering, like, what kind of things can you post? So you can post anything, but these are just some examples of things that worked well for me in the past. Like posting work in progresses on like my Instagram story to like be a little teaser. Sometimes I have a part 1 and then follow for part 2, or like part 2 incoming, and then people will follow me so they know where part 2 is. Just little things like that I like to do to engage people more. And then finished work, and then inspirations, like what kind of things inspire me, what's happening in the local community, how has the Rona affected me, my experiences, how I failed and what I learned from it, or how I succeeded and how I failed along the way to learn from that. And just like personal stories, what I went through and lessons I've learned from these things too, and just be personable and whatever you're comfortable with, and connect with people similarly that way. Like I personally shared stories of being bullied in the past, and I connected with people who shared similar stories. So definitely takes a level of thick skin to put yourself out there for personal. So don't be afraid to kind of don't be discouraged if you don't want to like post something like that as well. But these are just some ideas where you can pull content from. And for content strategy, definitely for engaging content, for engaging meaning people want to interact with it or reshare on their stories, making it add value to others. Like think about the reaction do you want? Do you want people to reshare it? Do you want people to like it? Do you want people to comment on it? Kind of go from there. It also makes sure it's original. Like don't do it for the likes, or don't do it for views or the clout. Definitely express yourself, because your vibe attracts your tribe. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it's attracting people who are similar to you, not attracting the people who have the most followers. Just because someone has more followers than you does not make them any better than anybody else who might not have as many followers. So just use your tone of voice, use your original voice and point of view, and then add your own opinions too, because people, and don't be fake. It doesn't feel good being fake, and people can detect it from a mile away. So just be genuine. And then there's not really, so the algorithm's always changing. And so that's why I like to do A/B testing. So test one case, test the other case, see which one does better. So example of that is like post at 5 a.m. or not 5 a.m., 5 p.m. and then post at like 12 p.m. and seeing how the difference in engagement it gets, and getting feedback from there too. And I just like to ask my audience, like, what kind of content do you want to see? And kind of strategize accordingly that way. And different content types, it could be useful information like a how-to, could be memes, could be funny, could be inspiring story that you want to share, could be critical, and you could like post your controversial opinion on that if you feel comfortable, or it could be like anything you want, challenging different perspectives and things like that. Give some ideas of different content types that I've seen on social media that have done well in their own style. No right or wrong answer, just whatever you want to post. And so these are some examples of my content that did well on Instagram or did well on LinkedIn. So this is me, like story time, how 2020 started really, really bad for me. How professors discouraged me to actually pursue design, and because I was an engineering major. And how I had a really low score in the GRE, so I was afraid to apply to a PhD program, which landed me in design, helped me dodge a bullet there. But I talked about how I failed. And so I can be really relatable to people, I guess, sometimes. And just be honest and be truthful. And then professors discouraging me, and then felt intimidated. Just try to be really, really relatable to people who may be struggling out there. And then what I've learned from that and how I got to where I am today, and just ultimately landing an offer at EA for full time. And then on Twitter is more for ephemeral content. So I shared a little work in progress I did about isometric bunny room. And then on Instagram story, I like to ask questions. I also run the Design Buddies Instagram. So I always like to do topic of the days and share the responses to add another layer of interaction to it. So it's another way to like engage people. Topic of the day, asking questions, and just getting people to engage more. So here's some examples of content. So get ideas from that. And again, like it's not always about your algorithm. Like the algorithm always changes. It's really determined by the programmers or the product managers at those companies. And so just focus on knowing your target audience and just giving value. Like the algorithm always changes. It's not worth your stress to like keep stressing about it and keep researching all these things about it, because it always changes. You never know. Just try to give value and help others. And again, these are just some examples of like social media sites and stuff. Let me know in the chat what your favorite social media site is. And for strategy, Instagram, nice. I love Instagram as well. It is one of my favorites too. I love Instagram and LinkedIn. LinkedIn's amazing. I got my job without applying through LinkedIn, actually. So that's why I love LinkedIn as well. Also met many wonderful people through LinkedIn. And so Instagram is the most visual one. It's definitely showcasing your gallery, your projects. Definitely, yeah, Facebook and LinkedIn are great too. Google Plus, nice. I remember I used to be on Google Buzz, like back in like elementary school. It was really fun. And yeah, so Instagram, definitely be really careful about your visual management, and just making sure your feed is consistent is important too. And then your stories can share like behind the scenes stuff. And for LinkedIn, this is where you want to be more professional. So for example, like I like to call COVID the Rona with an apostrophe Rona on all my other social media platforms, but I would call it COVID on LinkedIn. So just making sure that you're a little more professionals, but also LinkedIn, like from my personal experience, it was easier for me to go viral on that. So I had to be more professional, and also like I can reach more people on there too. And Facebook is still the largest social media platform. Generally, the audience is definitely older. So a lot of like parents, grandparents use it, but people still use it all the time. I use it all the time too for Facebook groups. There's some great groups out there to go viral in, actually. And Facebook Messenger is great. I use it all the time. Not sponsored, I just like them. I don't have more sponsored by Facebook, so might as well put them in a good light. And Twitter is also good for news and to sharing what you feel about the current climate and things like that, and engaging with people and getting your voice heard and things like that. We can post more frequently. And you can form longer form content. And so examples, portfolio, your blog. So these, you can like think of platforms like Medium, YouTube, Spotify, where you can post more longer form content. Your portfolio to showcase things. Like your vlog is tell your stories in written or audio form, or talk about your works on audio, things like that. So you don't have to always post short form content. If you want to do like a haul and story time, there's also other platforms for that as well, which I go a little bit deeper into this in little worksheet. So let me actually share in the chat. I'll share multiple times. And so for this worksheet I've done, I have more slides as well, but I just want to drop it in here just because I'm referring it. It's a little summary slide and a little checklist I did for my presentation as well. But yeah, so that's some examples on there. And so for posting frequency, it's important to be frequent or like have a rhythm of when you post content. And this is a goal, this is drive for followers up and being realistic of how much you can post and posting time of the day and taking account into that as well. And making sure that you're not the type to post like 3 times a day and then not post anymore for like a month and then post 3 times a day. Yeah, of course, you're welcome. And yeah, so making sure that you are consistent and so your followers can expect things from you. And it's really important to also engage with the community, learn what these leaders and influencers are doing, and learn, like, see what they're talking about, observe, doing some research on them, seeing what kind of trends they're talking about and try to read up on them too. And learn about their target audience, because ultimately their target audience, you want their target audience to become your target audience too. And also following similar people and giving value, so engaging on their posts, sharing content of what they find interesting. So you're trying to like get into their target audience too, because you later want to become an influencer like them too. And just like keep giving value. Don't really post to expect followers. Just post because you just want to give value and meet people and make friends and express yourself. And so like don't expect something for return. It's not a very healthy mindset to have. And I just like to go live life without too many expectations. I just become happier that way personally. So that's why I like to do that with my social media content too. And this all ultimately helps you build thought leadership. And so, now you know what's going on in the field, you are connected with similar people, you have given value, now people consider you a thought leader. And to be a thought leader, you just have to know about 10% more than the topic than the average person. They can talk about it and pretend you know everything. And to sum it up, these are just some actionable steps you can take. And I also mentioned some of this in my Notion as well. You should all check it out. I'll post it in Discord too later so you have access to it, or you can bookmark it or make a copy yourself so you can answer the questions. So definitely get started. So curate, looking at other thought leaders. You can also like repost things to get senpais to notice you, things like that. And also comment, add your own perspective to conversations, and also create your own original content that way. And then once you already know what's existing out there, once you research, you might find a gap in like your niche and find that. Yes, thanks, yeah, man. So I have heard senpai notice more times than I have in my life. Yeah, I'm really memey like that. I like a lot of anime, part of my personal brand, so that's why it's on brand. And then after I realized what people are saying in that field, back to my slides, I comment and engage with them and create more content. I like know what's out there, and that's what helped me define like what kind of content I want to create. And once I have like a profile with some content on it, I would connect with people and make friends and connect people with similar interests and make more friends that way. I like to call it making friends instead of networking because it's like more of a two-way street. And these are some resources. I have like one more section after this too, basically designing visual aspects. So this is all in your hack pack too, and also all in a Notion, but these are some worksheets that go even more in depth and some more resources that can help you build your own personal brand. So now we're going to talk about the visual elements. You do not have to be a designer to design your personal brand. I will make sure to break things down so it's easy to be digestible by anybody. Let me know in the chat if it feels too fast or I feel like you missed something. So your personality should define your visual style. So a lot of different visual elements like fonts, colors can really instill feelings in others. So I'll take a more deep dive into that later on. But just like your personality should reflect the visual elements you see and display for yourself. And so these are just some examples of brand elements like tone of voice. You have your logo, you have your fonts, color palettes, patterns, all these good stuff, like sound sometimes. Like these are brand elements that you can use to recognize yourself. Kind of going back to my first slide, right, or I ask like, what is a brand and what do you think about it? It's like something you can use to identify yourself. And all these brands like Nike, Twitter, McDonald's use similar visual elements to recognize them. Like Nike uses that swoosh, their logo. McDonald's uses a lot of yellow and happy colors to make people feel like they're loving their meal, like I'm loving it, and Nike's just do it, and Twitter and Apple, things like that. Yes, definitely Nathan says, notice me, campus recruiter son. Yes, I love that. Apply that mindset. Yeah, tone of voice is really similar to mission statement. So basically the same thing, how you communicate your message with your audience. So making sure your personal brand is defined by your mission statement. And these can be, this can actually shape your visuals actually. So it could help you maintain consistency. So examples of this are like being playful, simple, or educational. For me, I like being playful. That's why I have all these bunnies popping up everywhere and all these like bright colors, just because that's who I am. It could also be simple, it could be bougie. It's depending on who you want, how you want to present yourself to people. And basically knowing yourself, doing a deep dive into yourself and knowing who you are. And thank you, Isabel. And making sure that you know who you are, and this will define. It's basically really so much in the vision statement on how you define your tone of voice. And so in the chat, let me know what these colors mean to you. I know that it's like a little rectangle that shows up, but just ignore that. So pick one color, like blue equals whatever you think. Purple equals what do you think? Do you think, for example, yellow is happy, blue is trustworthy, green is money, luck? So let me know in the chat what you think of these colors. Or just pick a color or pick a few and let me know what you think they mean, or how do these colors make you feel? Yes, blue is definitely calm. It's like the ocean. Green, safe, nature, pure. Definitely, very true. Like the whole forest is green. Black, mysterious. Yes, definitely. Cool. Yeah, red, definitely energetic. And so this is why color is like the first thing you should try to consider when you think of a brand, because they can influence feelings. Again, going back to the first question I proposed, like, how do you want to make people feel, or what do you want people to say about you when you leave the room? So colors can influence feelings, like red, energy, blue, peace, green, nature, black, security, sophistication, dramatic, purple, luxury. And so you want to have about 2 or 3 primary colors. I personally like blue or purple, and I also really like being really ambitious and being really peaceful and having a lot of competence. And so that's why I chose mostly blue and purple with some yellow. I like being happy. That's why some of these bunnies are yellow. And that's why I chose my own color palette. But really kind of deep dive into what you want your tone of voice is, and let that define the color palette you want to choose. And you can have different visual styles as well, where you can shape your brands. I like to be really simple and also have a little handmade look. And then fonts can also influence tone of voice and how you want the audience to feel about you. And generally, it's just kind of going a little deeper into typography, but typically on your website, you want to have a main font and a secondary font. So your main font can be like a serif and pair with a sans serif, bold and regular, different line weights, things like that. But that's kind of getting deeper into typography. It can also influence tone of voice. So think of like these different fonts. Like this feels more fancy, more bougie, and this feels more dramatic, keeps you on your toes. This one feels more handwritten, more informal. This one's more modern. This one's more bold. This one's more classic. So these are ways you should think about when you're choosing, like what you want other people to feel should be how you want to select your fonts and your colors when designing elements of your personal brand. And also another optional item you could have for yourself. So colors and fonts are like definitely priority, is that patterns, using them to recognize your brand. So I like social media a lot. I like community building. I like the internet a lot. That's why I have all these speech bubbles as my own personal brand, and playful colors. They're pastel and they're playful and they're bright. And this one's Design Buddies brand. We are really playful community, so we have a lot of bright colors, and these are like a toy box. Sometimes people use blobs as well, and things like that. And then for photography, I actually have 6 main Instagram accounts, and I like to keep them all consistent for each account. So you're not limited to just one personal brand. You can have multiple, just split it up. And so just being consistent with all of them is really, really important. So this is my personal / blog one. It's just me running in different places with different stories I tell in the captions, keeping it consistent. I used to make a lot of food art with bento and anime characters. And then I used to, before the Rona happened, every time I met friends, I always got boba and had a little kuma and like layered boba in the background, cafe.ovo, and also Grace the Plant. So I haven't posted this like years, but I used to be pre-med and be really into growth and learning and studying, because plants is growth and you grow when you learn. So I like to have things like that, like kind of spin off each other as just like examples of how I personally structured my own brands using photography on Instagram. And lastly, I also have different illustration and iconography styles, making them consistent, which easily establish vocabulary for your brand. So this is my art / design Instagram, where I have a lot of pastel colors. Thank you, Min. I have a lot of pastel colors, and people can see different bunnies. So candy leaf, it's like candy shaped bunny with leaf on it is my logo. So I have a lot of candy colors and leaf, like nature, making them all kind of tie in back to each other. So I just think about these things and have everything just relate. And then Design Buddies, we have very playful brand, we're community, so lots of group photos and pop-ins font, things like that. And so yeah, that concludes my presentation. I have a lot of resources in my hack pack, which you can read up even more on, and also my Notion. And I'll open the floor for the next 8 minutes for Q&A, and you're welcome to connect with me on any of my social media platforms. And feel free to drop any questions you have in the chat. I'll drop my links in the chat too. I also dropped the link to Design Buddies. Yeah, you're welcome. I have a few more minutes for questions, and anybody is welcome to, oh, it did not tab out. Okay, let me redo this. I just copy and pasted my notes out of my computer. So hopefully now that I do this, I hope they are clickable. Oh, I guess I had to tab in and out. Oop, technical difficulty. Oh, I guess it's working now. I guess it works. But yeah, hope you'll all stay on for a few more minutes. You're welcome to ask me anything. Oh, thank you. Really appreciate it. Thanks for coming to both of them, Isabella. Fun fact, I actually did 4 workshops today. I also did a UI UX intro workshop and Figma workshop at Hackman Northeast, and then did a talk at Superpositions Empower Her conference. So that was really fun. Thank you, appreciate it. I'm so used to this. I'm used to just talking all day. Yeah, thank you for coming, everyone. Really appreciate it. Hope you all learned something. Let me just drop the Notion link one more time in case people came in. And feel free to like message me on Discord or Slack. You can also duplicate this template, so you have your own. You can like take notes on it as well. So yeah, I have a few more minutes for questions. Yeah, you're welcome, everyone. Oh yeah, thanks, Dexter. I drink a lot of coffee. I had 3 cups of coffee today. Slept 6 hours. Was awake since 6:45 a.m. and did my first workshop at 7, and it was great. Well, 7:30. I just came in the green room earlier. Super used to it. I mean, I'm in like work meetings. Sometimes I have like up to like 8 meetings a day. It's quite crazy. But yeah, I'm really, really used to it. Definitely quarantine has made me really used to Zoom meetings. And after getting a desktop and a webcam, I feel like I can just do this all day. Yeah, I love work from home. hopefully at the pandemic, you guys will maybe get a chance to experience the office. But I also heard the EA office is really nice. Fortunately, I don't get to experience that yet, but maybe one day. I heard they have a nice ball fit. Don't think I share your opinion. Oh, yeah. Definitely all the pros and cons. The reason why I like work from home. Min asks, how do you share a personal brand through Zoom online meetings? Great question. I actually was doing this in the group earlier, but I showcase 2 different backgrounds. So I have Zoom backgrounds based on my color outfit, the time of day. It is, whether it's morning or evening. And let me just show you my collection. I was a potato before. So let me open my Snapcam. So right now, Sunrise Hills, collect to be like really sunny. I sometimes use like this background, so I like to showcase that through backgrounds. And then on apps like non-Zoom, oh yeah, that potato. Let me just show that just in case. So because you asked, potato, how do I showcase my brand through online meetings? So unfortunately, it's only the Tiger King potato, but there's the Vogue potato. So things like that. So hello, I'm a potato floating. So literally like, yes, thank you. I love the potato too. It's like hella stretchy. So sometimes like at work, my coworkers and I just have business meetings as potatoes. And it's really great working in the games industry because you can be more casual like this and more playful. Yeah, so that's how I showcase my personal brand, by filters and Zoom meetings, and also just being myself and being really bubbly and drinking too much coffee. This one's also a great one. And then, yeah, this is my default one. I also have this one. These are just the ones I've bookmarked. This is a professional one. I have fancy business meetings in. I have a virtual beach and floating on water. There's some moving ones too. So, yeah. What are your all favorite Snapchat filters? I have 3 more minutes left. There's also like an anime one. Like I know it's like just senpai a lot because that's what I like to reference. Just because I watched way too much anime when I was growing up, I wanted to be an anime artist, and so I am an anime character now. It doesn't even show facial expressions. It's just me here as a VTuber now, I guess. It doesn't. Yeah, it's cool. But yeah, definitely Snapchat. Highly recommend to surprise people sometimes. This one is also the Galaxy Bunny. Have bunny ears. You can have little bunnies on here too. Galaxy colors. I was thinking of using this one, but I felt like it might be too distracting for the presentation. So yeah. All right, I have 2 more minutes, so feel free to get in your last questions. Refer to my Notion sheet for any ideas you have to plan your own personal brand. I'll just look through some Snapchat filters. So just it also really depends on your audience. Like, don't go in like an interview with this on. At least even in the whatever industry, like don't do this during interviews. Yeah, please don't. But once you get to know someone better, you can do this. And the reason why I'm doing this at this presentation is because personal branding. It's whatever I like and whatever I think of myself. I don't do this in my design systems presentation. So really, really contextual. So that's why I have my like the Sunrise Hills on. It's my like normal default, more professional one. Yeah, you're welcome, Dexter. Thanks for coming. All right, you have 1 more minute left. Yeah, you're welcome. But feel free to connect with me on any of my social media platforms, and hopefully all the senpais will notice you. And as always, I say this at every single presentation I end, stay positive and test negative. And I'll post the resources again on Discord so you have access to it. And let me just share my slides as well so y'all have access to that. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. That's how I made my slides. So you have access to that as well in case you want to refer to any of it. So let me share my slides in the chat. I'll share on the Discord too in the careers channel. And yeah, thank you all. We are at time. So hope your hackathon goes well and have a wonderful day and have a good night if you're mostly in the East Coast. and see you all on Discord. Bye, everyone.